Welcome, friends. I hope you like today's story. Please give your valuable feedback and take care of your channel. Thank you. The sky burned. Smoke coiled over the battlefield like a funeral shroud, choking the light from the sun. Below, the wreckage of human defiance lay scattered, shattered war machines, smoldering barricades, and the bodies of those who had dared to stand against the Seraphim. Kaelar stepped over the ruins, his golden wings cutting through the haze. Around him, his kin moved with methodical grace, their radiant armor untouched by the filth of war. A human survivor, a soldier bleeding from a gut wound, crawled toward a broken rifle. Kaelar didn't hesitate. His blade flashed, and the man stilled. Asterisk another death. Another necessary purge. Asterisk. The words rang hollow even as he thought them. Kaelar. The voice was sharp, commanding. Commander Vaith descended beside him, his wings flaring with impatience. The eastern quadrant is cleared. Move to the wreckage. Ensure no vermin escaped. Kaelar dipped his head in obedience. By your will. Vaith's gaze lingered, cold and assessing. You hesitate today. A muscle twitched in Kaelar's jaw. I serve the Dominion. Vaith smirked. See that you do. With a beat of his wings, he was gone. Kaelar exhaled, forcing his grip to loosen on his sword. He moved toward the wreckage, a downed human dropship, its hull split open like a gutted beast. The stench of fuel and blood filled the air. He stepped inside, scanning for movement. Then he heard it, a whimper. His head snapped toward the sound. Beneath a collapsed beam, half buried in debris, a small figure stirred. A child, a human child. She couldn't have been more than 10. Her face streaked with soot and blood, one arm pinned beneath the wreckage. Her eyes, wide, terrified, locked onto his. Kaelar froze. Kill her. The order was implicit. The Seraphim did not take prisoners, not unless they were of strategic value. And this girl was nothing. A casualty, a vermin. His blade lifted. The girl didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just watched him. And in that moment, Kaelar saw something that shouldn't have been there. Not in a human. Not in the enemy. Defiance. His sword trembled. A shout echoed outside. More Seraphim approached. Acting on instinct, Kaelar wrenched the beam aside, freeing her. The girl gasped, her breath ragged. Before she could cry out, he clamped a hand over her mouth, his voice a hissed whisper. If you want to live, be silent. She went still. Smart. Footsteps crunched outside. Kaelar acted fast. He tore a strip from his cloak, binding her injured arm, then draped the rest over her small frame, hiding her from view. Just in time, 2 Seraphim warriors entered, their eyes scanning the wreckage. Kaelar, you're slow today. He straightened, forcing calm into his voice. Checking for intel. The humans may have had maps of their resistance cells. One of them scoffed. Burn it all. Nothing here but corpses. Kaelar nodded, stepping aside as they moved past. His heart hammered, but his face betrayed nothing. The girl's tiny fingers clutched his armor, her breath shallow against his side. The warriors paused near the beam she'd been trapped under. One nudged it with his boot. Blood, he murmured. Fresh. Kaelar's grip tightened on the girl. Then, miraculously, a shout came from outside. Movement to the west. Possible survivors. The warriors cursed, turning. Leave this, one snapped. The commander wants no escapes. They vanished into the smoke. Kaelar didn't wait. He scooped the girl into his arms and moved, slipping through the shadows of the wreckage until the battlefield faded behind them. Only when they reached the skeletal remains of an abandoned bunker did he finally stop, setting her down. She stumbled back, her back hitting the wall, her eyes wide with pain and fear. Kaelar raised his hands, showing her his empty palms. I won't hurt you. The girl bared her teeth. Liar. He flinched. You're one of them, she spat. The winged monsters. The killers. Kaelar exhaled slowly. Yes. Then why save me? Her voice cracked. Do you think it makes you better than them? The question struck like a blade. He had no answer. The bunker was cold. Kaelar crouched near the entrance, his wings pulled tight against his back as he listened for pursuit. The girl, Lira, she'd snarled when he asked, refused to sit still. She paced like a caged animal, her injured arm clutched to her chest, her eyes darting between him and the door. "You're wasting time," she muttered. "They'll find us." Kaelar didn't answer. His gaze lingered on the blood seeping through her makeshift bandage. She caught him looking. "What? Never seen a human bleed before." "Not like this," he admitted. Lira barked a laugh. "Right. You just kill us. Cleaner that way." His jaw tightened. You should have silenced her. Should have turned her over to Vaith. But instead, he reached in his belt and tossed her a small vial. "Drink it." She eyed the shimmering liquid with suspicion. "Poison. Healing serum." Lyra's fingers twitched, torn between need and defiance. Finally, she uncorked it and downed it in one gulp. Almost immediately, the tension in her shoulders eased. She flexed her arm, staring as the wound knit itself closed. "Huh." Kaelar expected gratitude. Instead, she narrowed her eyes. "Why do you have this?" "Standard issue." "For us? Or for you?" The question caught him off guard. "For injuries in the field." Lira scoffed. "Right. So you can patch yourselves up and go back to slaughtering." Kaelar's hand twitched toward his sword. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I know enough." She kicked a loose stone, her voice dropping. "I know the Seraphim burn cities and call it purification. I know you took my parents 2 cycles ago for re-education." Her fists clenched. "I know they never came back." Something twisted in Kaelar's chest. He'd heard the term before, *re-education star. A necessary measure, his commanders said, to correct rebellious minds. But the way Lira said it, like a death sentence, made him hesitate. A noise outside. Distant shouts. Kaelar stiffened. "They're sweeping the area." Lira didn't flinch. "Told you." He made a decision. "We need to move." She crossed her arms. "Why should I go with you?" "Because if you stay, you die. And if I go, you'll just hand me over later." Kaelar met her glare. "No." The word hung between them, heavier than he intended. Lira studied him, searching for the lie. Finding none, she gave a slow nod. "Fine. But if you betray me, I'll stab you in your sleep." A ghost of a smile tugged at his lips. "Noted." They moved under cover of darkness, sticking to the ruins. Kaelar's wings made stealth difficult, but Lira knew the terrain. She led him through collapsed tunnels and hollowed-out buildings, her steps silent as a shadow. "You're good at this," he murmured. She shot him a look. Survival's a human specialty. A Seraph patrol passed overhead, their winged silhouettes blotting out the stars. Kaelar pressed against a wall, pulling Lira close. Her breath hitched, but she didn't pull away. When the patrol faded, she whispered, "They're heading toward the refugee camp." Kaelar frowned. "What camp?" Lira hesitated, then sighed. "There's a settlement west of here. Survivors. Mostly families." Her voice turned brittle. "They're defenseless." Kaelar's stomach dropped. He knew what that meant. A cleanse. Standard protocol for unauthorized gatherings. Lira saw the recognition in his eyes. "You knew." "I didn't." Liar. She shoved him back. "You're one of them. You knew they'd do this." Kaelar grabbed her wrist before she could bolt. "Listen to me. If we go there, we'll be caught. Then let me go alone. You'll die. Better than doing nothing." Her scream echoed. Too loud. Above them, a Seraph scout turned. "Damn it." Kaelar yanked Lira down as a beam of searing light lanced where her head had been. The scout shouted, Contact! And suddenly the night erupted with wings and weapons. No time to think. Kaelar drew his sword and moved. The first scout fell before he could react. The second barely raised his gun before Kaelar's blade found his throat. Lira stared wide-eyed. You just... Run. They sprinted, Kaelar covering their retreat. Shots rang out. One grazed his wing, sending a jolt of pain down his spine. Lira grabbed his arm, dragging him into a narrow alley. Here! They plunged into the sewers, the stench overwhelming but the darkness absolute. Only when the sounds of pursuit faded did they stop, gasping. Lira slumped against the wall. They'll lock the city down. Kaelar nodded, wincing as he examined his wing. We need a plan. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, the camp. He looked up. Lyra's eyes burned in the dark. You owe me. And for the first time in his life, Kaelar chose. Tell me where to go. Smoke stained the horizon before they reached the camp. Kaelar's stomach twisted as the acrid scent hit him. Burning wood, scorched flesh, the metallic tang of blood. Beside him, Lira went rigid, her breath coming in short, sharp bursts. They're already here, she whispered. Through the trees, orange flames licked at the night sky. The distant screams of humans and the cold, clipped orders of Seraphim cut through the air. Kaelar's hand tightened on his sword. This is wrong. The thought came unbidden, unwelcome. This is protocol. Lira didn't wait for him. She bolted toward the chaos. Lira, asterisk, damn it. Asterisk, he lunged after her, wings half spread to shield them both as they broke through the tree-line. The camp was a slaughterhouse. Seraphim warriors moved like golden reapers through the tents, their blades flashing. Humans, unarmed, terrified, were herded into a central square. A tall Seraph officer stood atop a supply crate, his voice carrying over the carnage. By decree of the Dominion, this gathering is unlawful. You will submit to processing or face immediate termination. Lira's fingers dug into Kaelar's arm. That's processing. He didn't answer. He didn't need to. A child wailed as a soldier dragged her from her mother's arms. The mother screamed, lunging, only to be struck down mid-step. Lira made a sound like a wounded animal. Kaelar acted before he could think. He stepped into the open, his voice booming. Asterisk halt. Asterisk. Every seraph froze. The officer turned, his polished mask glinting in the firelight. The traitor. Vaith. Kaelar's blood ran cold. Lira hissed. You know him? Intimately. Vaith answered for him, leaping down from the crate. Kaelar was my finest soldier. Until today. His gaze flicked to Lira. I see the corruption's source. Kaelar drew his sword. Let these people go. Vaith laughed. Still giving orders? He signaled his men. Kill the human. Take Kaelar alive. The Archon will want to study his defect. The Seraphim attacked. Kaelar moved on instinct, parrying the first strike, twisting to drive his blade through a warrior's gut. Behind him, Lira ducked under a swinging spear, snatching a fallen knife from the dirt. Lira, run. Asterisk, hell no. Asterisk, she lunged, slashing at a seraph's exposed wing joint. The warrior shrieked, stumbling, just long enough for Kaelar to finish him. Vaith watched, amused. How quaint, he raised his hand. Burn the rest. Flame projectors whined to life. The human screamed. Then, a Molotov cocktail exploded against the lead flamethrower's fuel tank. The resulting blast sent Seraphim flying. Kaelar shielded his face as shrapnel peppered the ground. Through the smoke, figures emerged, humans armed with scavenged weapons, their faces alight with fury. The resistance. Vaith snarled. Asterisk, Kaelar. Asterisk, he lunged, his sword a silver blur. Steel rang against steel as Kaelar barely blocked. Vaith was fast, his strikes precise, brutal. A cut opened on Kaelar's cheek. Another on his thigh. You're weak, Vaith spat. Pathetic. You throw away eternity for vermin. Kaelar gritted his teeth. They're people. He feinted left, then pivoted, his blade slicing deep into Vaith's side. The commander gasped, stumbling. For a heartbeat, shock flickered behind his mask. Then, crack, a gunshot. Vaith jerked as blood bloomed on his chest. Kaelar turned. Lira stood 10 paces back, a scavenged pistol smoking in her hands. Her eyes were hard. That's for my parents. Vaith collapsed. Silence. Then, the remaining Seraphim moved. Kaelar roared. Asterisk, go. Asterisk, he grabbed Lira, shoving her toward the retreating humans. Get them out of here. What about you? He spread his wounded wings, standing between her and the advancing warriors. I'll hold them off. Lira hesitated. Then, she grabbed his hand and squeezed. Don't die, Wings. Then she was gone, vanishing into the smoke with the survivors. Kaelar turned to face his kin. For the first time in his life, he smiled. Who's first? Blood dripped from Kaelar's wing as he staggered through the ruins. The survivors moved like ghosts in the pre-dawn gloom. Wounded humans carrying children, elders leaning on scavenged rifles, all following Lyra's lead. She kept glancing back at him, her jaw set. He knew what she wasn't saying. You won't make it much farther. The gash across his ribs burned with every step. A child tugged Lyra's sleeve. Is the sanctuary real? She ruffled the boy's hair. Real as sunrise. Kaelar coughed, tasting iron. You've never seen it. Doesn't matter. She shot him a look. Hope's real because we believe in it. A Seraphim proverb echoed in his mind. Asterisk faith is the crutch of the weak. Asterisk, but here now, it was faith that kept these humans moving. A whistle cut the air. Incoming. Kaelar barely yanked Lira down before the artillery shell hit. Dirt and shrapnel rained over them as the forest erupted in fire. They found us, a woman screamed. Through the smoke, golden wings descended. Not scouts this time, asterisk elites. Asterisk the Archon's personal guard. Lira cursed, hauling Kaelar up. Move! They ran as the trees shattered behind them. A blast sent Kaelar sprawling, his vision swimming. Lira dragged him behind a boulder as energy bolts scorched the earth around them. Plan, she gasped. Kaelar gripped his sword. I'll distract them. You. Asterisk terrible asterisk plan. She grabbed a fallen Seraphim rifle, checking the charge. How many shots you think I can get off before they fry us? Not enough. A shadow fell over them. The elites landed in a semicircle, their ion lances humming. One stepped forward, his voice mechanized through his helm. Kaelar of the 7th Choir. The Archon commands your presence. Lira leveled a rifle. He's not going. The elite tilted his head. Child, you're already dead. Kaelar moved first. His blade took the nearest elite's head clean off. The others recoiled, just long enough for Lira to fire. One shot. Two. A third elite fell before the rest lunged. Kaelar fought like a demon, his wings flaring to shield Lira as she reloaded. But he was slowing, bleeding, dying. An elite's lance speared through his side. Lyra's scream tore the air. Then, a war cry erupted from the tree-line. Humans. Dozens of them. They poured into the clearing like a flood, wielding everything from plasma cutters to rusted axes. At their head stood a grizzled man with a scarred face, his armor cobbled from Seraphim plating. Asterisk for the sanctuary. Asterisk. The elites hesitated, just for a second. It was enough. The humans swarmed. They fought like madmen, dragging elites from the sky, jamming blades into armor joints. The grizzled leader beheaded an elite with a single swing, then locked eyes with Kaelar. Took you long enough, Wings. Lira gaped. Asterisk, you knew he was coming? Asterisk. The man grinned. Hope works both ways, kid. Kaelar collapsed. He woke to sunlight. The pain was still there, but muted. Bandages covered his ribs. His wings, one broken, one singed, were bound tight. Lira sat beside him, sharpening a knife. Told you not to die. He coughed. Where? Asterisk last sanctuary. Asterisk. She gestured beyond the tent flaps. Kaelar limped outside and froze. The sanctuary wasn't a fortress. It was a city carved into a mountain, pulsing with life. Humans repaired ships, trained with stolen weapons, lived, and everywhere he looked, they stared at him, not with fear, but something worse. Hope. The grizzled leader clapped his shoulder. Name's Yerrick. Heard you killed Vaith. Kaelar swallowed. They'll send more. Stronger. Yerrick shrugged. Let him. He pointed to the skyline, where a dozen retrofitted anti-air turrets gleamed. We've been waiting for a fight. Lira handed Kaelar a cup of something bitter. Told you it was real. He stared at the steam rising from the cup, at the humans preparing for war, at the defiance in their eyes. For the first time, Kaelar believed they could win. Yerrick raised his own cup. To the defiant. The cheer shook the mountains. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you very much. Take care.